So for the treatment portion of this project, we decided to use the stuttering modification approach. And in the stuttering modification approach, you basically teach the child when to identify their stuttering behaviors, where it's going to happen either at the beginning of the stutter, in the middle, and then by the child being able to identify that, then they are able to focus on making the adjustments in order to decrease the tension and the struggle that is often associated with their stutter. So for example, that could be strategies such as breathe and plan. So breathe in, and that allows you to give yourself time to plan what you're going to say, and then breathe out, Sharon Brady. Because normally a stutterer with a prolongation might be like Sharon. But if you breathe in and then breathe out, that allows you time to think about what you're going to say and not focus so much on that stutter. Another technique would be a slow start. So you could say, Johnny will be able to communicate better with his classmates. So you start at a slower rate and then pick it up towards the end to help also decrease some of that tension. And also the pull out, where you are in the middle of a stutter and you kind of pull back a little bit, like butter. That could be somebody that stutters in the word butter. So then the pull-out technique would be butter, and pull out of that repetition stutter and be able to pull out of it and say it more smoothly now that you have the force behind it. So we found an article online called The Stuttering Treatment for a Child at the Intermediate Stuttering Level, and it's about an 11-year-old boy who has a moderate stutter. They use the SSI-3, where we use the SSI-4 with our child. And basically, this study uses the stuttering modification therapy by teaching the child how to modify his or her moments of stuttering, how to reduce tension and frequency of the stuttering, and to stutter in a more relaxed and easier manner. And those are some of the techniques that I talked about, like the light contact. So a light contact would be, if you stutter on L, it's the light. But if you do light, and you do the breathing technique and get it out light, that's the light contact, because you're not pushing your tongue so far up onto your hard palate. And so these we felt were appropriate strategies to use with our particular client. And at the end of the study, it said that he went to speech for twice a week for 45-minute sessions, and that at the end, his stutter went from moderate to mild because he was implementing these techniques after a year. So it really shows that stuttering modification therapy can work when applied appropriately and taught appropriately. So we have selected some goals, or have thought about some goals that we really want to use with Sara in therapy. And the first one we thought of is that Sara will demonstrate the ability to reduce physical tension during stuttering using a lot of the techniques that I just described to you, with the breathing out and the pull-out method, and just slow down when speaking by 50% during various activities. We also want her to decrease the use of any secondary behaviors associated with her stuttering to about 10%. And though that would be a long-term goal, we can start at 80% and then get it all the way down to 10%. Because we really want to focus on the fluent speech, and the fluent speech with the breathing will help really decrease those behaviors that she has. And then an overall goal that we felt would be really, really important, because we had stated in the case history that she has difficulty participating in class, that we want her to increase her participation in any educational setting and have the teacher take data on it. So when she becomes more confident, we want her to raise her hand and answer questions, because it allows her to think, breathe, and then say what she wants to say without so much of the stutter.
Okay, so for this activity, you will create sentences with the words underlined in the story that we have read. So let's start by using the word incredible.
I think I'm going to make my sentence she has an incredible sense of humor. So she has an incredible sense of humor. She has an incredible sense of humor.
That was excellent. Now let's use the word sacred.
Sacred. Let's see what they wrote for sacred. Some myths were seen as sacred and linked to religion or spirituality by rulers or priests. So sacred. Bobby holds his baseball cards as being sacred. Bobby holds his baseball cards as being sacred.
Great job, Sara. You're smart. So the third word I would like you to use is the word spiritually. If we go over the last sentence that we just went over, you will find the word spiritually. Or you can also use the word spiritual.
Well, maybe I won't use spirituality. Maybe I'll do spiritual. I could say that my mom is very spiritual. And she is, because she prays a lot that my stutter is going to get better. So I think that's a good sentence. My mom is very spiritual. My mom is very spiritual.
Sara, you're doing an amazing job. It was awesome. I've noticed how you was able to correct yourself and identify when you feel like stirring. That tells me that you are using the techniques that we just learned a few moments ago. And if you keep doing that, your stutter will slow down. I've noticed how you apply these techniques on the word she or spiritual like we practiced. And how do you feel with the techniques that we are using? Is it helping you? Just tell me how you feel with it.
So I think I did a good job with that. And I was able to correct myself and identify when I was stuttering, especially on she or spiritual. So I really think the breathing techniques are working, and the starting out slow and then easing into the sentence, I think that's also a good thing for me to do.